G'day everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so what I want to talk to you today about is something that we've probably all done from time to time. And as a reviewer, I muck around with my hi-fi system more than most people do. And unfortunately, I had a problem. And this problem actually made me feel sick to my stomach when I realized what I did. So this video series that I'm going to do now is going to walk you through the whole process. Absolutely full transparency here. I'll put my hand up. This was my brain fade that caused this to happen. So we're going to get into it now. So the result of what happened on this particular day has ended up causing one of the tweeters in my Wilson Alexias to blow up. So now I'll talk to you about what was going on. So the full transparency here, because a lot of people wouldn't talk about this. They'd make up an excuse or they'd whatever. But this channel is all about transparency and complete integrity, which is important to me. So that's why I'm going to tell you the story. So I had an amplifier, a single-ended amplifier that I was testing in my system. And I had a few other things going on and I was thinking about other things and didn't have my mind on the job. And I went to plug some single-ended RCA cables into the back of it, and I was using a DAC as a preamp as well. And I didn't realize at the time that the amplifier was turned on. I went to plug the right-hand RCA in and I heard quite a loud noise and went, oh, and checked, realized the amplifier was on, turned it off, kept going to plug the system in and get everything going, not thinking anything of it, but just thought, my bad. I've done it a couple of times in 35 years of doing this, but really you could count the amount of times I've got that sequence that is etched in my brain wrong on one hand. It just doesn't happen very often at all for me. But this particular time, it happened, and I got the system up and running, went and sat down, started playing some music and thought, something sounds weird. It sounds like it's out of phase, or I might have got a wire wrong or something. So I stopped the music, I got up, I checked behind the amplifier, checked the source, checked everything that I could see behind the rack. It all seemed to be fine. Checked speaker cables, everything else, made sure nothing had moved around. Again, everything seemed fine. Went and sat down, played some more music. Nah, still not right. It still sounds almost either out of phase or something's gone wrong. So anyway, I got up after that point and I went over and I put my ear up against the speakers on the speaker that was working fine at the time. And I thought, yeah, everything seems fine. That went over to the other one, checked it. And as I went up from the mid-range to the tweeter, I noticed the tweeter wasn't working. I then looked at it, and what I saw, I will show you pictures of as we go, was literally the tweeter diaphragm was completely pushed out. So the voice coil essentially had been rejected by the magnet structure that makes up the tweeter arrangement in the Wilson tweeter. It was visibly quite easy to see that something was very much unwell, and I got a horrible sinking feeling and thought, oh no. So anyway, I accepted the fact, and then I started the process of trying to understand, yes, why it had happened and what I'd done, and that hand up, my fault, I'm owning it. And then I thought, well, what am I going to do to fix this? My goodness, these are the only speakers I have in the house at the moment to be able to shoot content for everybody, and I had things here lined up waiting to be reviewed and to be looked at, and it was a bit of a panic moment. So then I went on to the process of exploring prices from Wilson and the dealer, and then my inquisitive mind kicked in, and I started speaking to a couple of very clever friends of mine, and worked out that there may well be another option. And I'm going to talk you through this other option that I've explored and that I've succeeded in doing. I'm going to talk to you about measurements and all the data that we collated to be able to confirm what we were hearing. This is going to be maybe a 3 or a 4-part series. This first part is just to talk to you about exactly the problem it was. And then the next video, we're going to look at the removal of the affected tweeter and the breaking down of that tweeter. And we'll have a look at what actually went wrong in the tweeter, and then we'll go through a process of rebuilding the tweeter, and then the measurements that we took when we compared the one tweeter which was not affected and the other tweeter that was affected. We'll look at in-room measurements of both those tweeters. We're going to talk about what I did to fix it. We're also going to talk about a resistor upgrade for the Wilsons, which is even better than the Wilson resistors. And we're going to talk about the prices that I've been quoted, that anyone would be quoted, the actual prices that I paid for this stuff. I'm going to save all the nuts and the bolts and the mathematics about the cost of all of this until the last video. So I want you to hang around. I want you to stay on board. I want you to please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I want to talk you all through this. This is something that the industry doesn't talk about, because you're just instructed to go back to Wilson and buy the Wilson product. Well, I have an alternative for you, and this alternative is going to save you a packet of money. And I will prove all that with measurements. I will prove it again by what I heard in my room. And these ears here that have been doing this job for 35 years now knows what sound should sound like, and I can still hear out to 15 kilohertz. And I'm nearly 53 years old, so I've looked after my ears, and I've got to talk about all of those processes as we go through. I've got a special guest in one of the videos. You'll get to meet him, and we'll go through that process that we went through to measure the output of the tweeters. So there's lots and lots coming up on this video series, and it's really interesting stuff for anybody that owns Wilsons, because I can save you a lot of money, and I will step you through all of the processes that I went through. I did all of this myself, and I have perfectly good speakers working perfectly. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. That's a little bit proficient with a soldering iron and knows one end of an Allen key from the other. So stay tuned, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk about the next stage of this soon.